Pentacle Chapter 11, Queen of Wands. Carina turned around to watch Bruno sleep, and today it had felt as if she didn't have a boyfriend at all. And Bruno was being so distant and trashy much she couldn't get the things to return to the way they were before Rebecca's last visit. If the woman had come to ruin their relationship, Carina fancied that Rebecca had succeeded. What's changed? What happened? And what did Rebecca do or say to Bruno to make her act so distant? Carina ran these questions through her head over and over, and the only thing she didn't do was ask Bruno. After all, she didn't have a guarantee that she would get a truthful answer. She tossed and turned in the bed until she eventually awoke Bruno. "I haven't been happy lately," said Bruno, opening his eyes. "How come?" asked Carina happily, and she was overjoyed by the fact that her boyfriend was going to have a real conversation with her. "Isn't it obvious?" asked Bruno, and his momentary weakness passed, and once again he would close his heart to Carina. "I am going to sleep in the couch." Bruno left the bed, and he took a cloth and his pillow, and after half an hour he was snoring with his mouth wide open. Carina tiptoed out of the bedroom to watch her man sleep, and how she envied the fact that he could sleep so easily. And she sighed wearily before returning to her bedroom, and it made sense that he would be moody from lack of sleep, and baby Bruno needed his 8 hours, otherwise he would be extra moody. The following morning, Carina awoke to find that Bruno had left early for work, and she poked at her breakfast without enthusiasm, and tried as she might, she couldn't understand why her boyfriend had been unhappy as of lately. And she mentioned this to Rodrigo. "It probably has to do with that stupid prank I did," said Rodrigo, remembering his stupid idea of recording Bruno to annoy him. "It wouldn't kill him to tell me what's eating him up," barked Carina. "I am not a mind reader, and when something bothers me, I tell him, and the least he could do is reciprocate the honesty." "I am sorry, Carina," said Rodrigo, "and when I introduced you to Bruno, I really did think that you two were going to live happily ever after." "Everything was fine until Rebecca came into the picture," said Carina. And right on cue, Carina saw her phone vibrating, and when she picked it up, she frowned when she saw that the caller ID was Rebecca, and when she answered it, the caller was Becky. "Is Bruno awake?" whispered Becky. "I am sorry, honey, but Bruno already went to work," said Carina apologetically. "Are you good at math?" asked Becky. "Do your homework, Becky," said Carina dryly before hanging up the phone. Carina got a call again, and this time it was Rebecca. And Rebecca went to another room to whisper in private, and her daughters cried against the door to eavesdrop. Rebecca saw their shadows under the door, and in the end she hid in the closet to speak more openly with Carina. "Did you mark my phone as spam?" asked Rebecca. "If I did, we wouldn't be having this conversation, would we?" asked Carina dryly. "It was probably Bruno. I tried calling you two yesterday, but all my calls kept going to spam," said Rebecca. "I had no way of knowing whether you're speaking the truth or not, or just trying to stir a controversy," said Carina dryly. "For all I know, this is the first time you have called." You can believe whatever helps you sleep at night, Carina," said Rebecca, sighing with frustration, and she added, "Did they catch the stalker?" "Yeah, they did. It turns out that it was a loco nut, and he was too crazy to ask for what he wanted like a normal human being, so he chose to sneak into our house instead," said Carina, alluding to Jeremy. "And we already took proper precautions, and we changed all the locks, and we told his caretaker to keep a tighter leash on him." "Oh, good, what a relief," said Rebecca, sighing, and changing the subject, she asked, "And did you see the home movies and photo albums?" "Yes, we did," asked Carina. "And what did Bruno think?" asked Rebecca. He didn't watch them. I saw them together with my family while Bruno slept," said Carina. Rebecca's face contorted into a grimace, and she had originally planned for Bruno to watch those tapes to remind him of the person he used to be. And more than anything, she wanted the memory of her grandmother to compel Bruno to forgive her so that they could be a family again. Bruno is also part of your family. It wasn't nice of you to exclude him," said Rebecca, after carefully measuring her words. "It wasn't my intention to exclude him. It just sort of happened," said Carina, "and my aunt started watching the video with my mom, and then my cousins got in on the fun, and I arrived late to the party where Bruno was busy sleeping," explained Carina. "And what are you doing these holidays?" asked Rebecca. "I don't know yet," said Carina. "And I was wondering if maybe you and Bruno could fly over to spend Christmas with us," said Rebecca tentatively. "I don't know," said Carina. "I would ask Bruno about it, and then we shall see." If it is not too much trouble for you to fly over, we can come over instead, said Rebecca. I don't know, maybe you should ask your daughters if they want to spend Christmas with their father. I know that you hate your cheating husband's guts, but he's still the father of your daughters, said Carina, thinking of the mental health of the girls. It won't do well for your daughters to think that their father doesn't love them anymore. Children can get easily scarred for life if they think that one of their parents has stopped loving them. This answer completely disarmed Rebecca, and she was too busy chasing after Bruno to consider how the divorce might be affecting her daughters. And for the moment they were co-parenting, and she had the girls on weekdays and the father had them on the weekends. Though the cheating bastard was allowed to visit on weekdays to see the girls and to put up with Rebecca's passive aggressiveness. Since the girls spent most of their time with Rebecca, it was natural that they might start missing their father. And Rebecca thought of Bruno and the complicated relationship he had with her. She had rejected Bruno for most of his childhood, and after her grandma died, she had made the effort to become a mother to Bruno, and it was difficult at first. For a while, she fancied that she had ruined the boy when Bruno suffered from bulimia as a teenager, and after paying for therapy, the boy straightened himself out, and he went to college football. He graduated as a lawyer, and he owned a small apartment, and Rebecca thought she had succeeded, and she thought that her brother had finally accepted her as his sister. And this summer something changed, and if Carina wasn't the one responsible for the change, then who was it? An eerie silence soon followed with neither Carina nor Rebecca saying anything. I gotta go to work. Talk to you later, Rebecca, said Carina before hanging up the cell phone. Carina breathed a sigh of relief as soon as the conversation ended, and she concluded her breakfast before driving to work. And it was an uneventful day, the types of slow days that give you too much time to think, and she almost wished for a catastrophe that would allow her to forget her relationship problems. And when she made it to her car, she sat there for half an hour. She didn't want to deal with an emotional distant boyfriend. Maybe it was too soon for us to move in together, said Carina, pouting. And after meditating her options, she decided to visit Kane, and she needed a friendly ear to vent to. And when she arrived at his house, she found an unfamiliar van parked outside. She entered using her key, and in the living room she saw Kane, her ex-boyfriend Malik, and Malik's little sister Ariel playing Super Smash Bros. Melee on the GameCube. Welcome, Carina, said Kane, not bothering to greet her. There is room for one more, said Ariel, raising the Force controller. Carina wasn't much of a gamer, and given the option, she would like to do literally anything else. And since her misery desired company, she sat down to play. And after looking at the roster of characters, she chose to play as Kirby. She was familiar with his movesets, and she had played the original Smash Bros. And with Kane when he first came out, and much to Malik's surprise, Karina gave him a royal beating while playing as Kirby. And she had underestimated her big mistake. And since she was doing well, she quickly got lost in the game, and after playing for 2 hours, she had completely forgotten that Bruno even existed. All that mattered was winning the game, and the friends were taken out of their gaming trance when they were summoned to the table to eat pizza. How are things going with Bruno? Asked Ariel in full gossip mode. The last time we spoke, he said he hadn't been happy in a long time, said Carina, sighing. It doesn't surprise me, said Malik, and you tend to fall short when dealing with adversity. I am not a mind reader, Malik, barked Carina, realizing what Malik was alluding to. And if Bruno doesn't tell me what I did wrong, how am I supposed to remedy the situation? If he hadn't told you what you did wrong, then your mistake must be a pretty obvious one, guessed Ariel. And when was the last time that Bruno seemed to be happy with you? He changed when Rodrigo woke him up by putting a stupid camera close to his face, and he cried saying that he didn't have anyone and nobody. And ever since then he has been reading the stupid comic book every minute and every second, said Carina. I think you need to look further back, said Kane. And Bruno's not unreasonable. It doesn't make sense for him to be angry at you over something that your cousin did. Carina strained her memory, and she was the type of person who remembered what others did, but not what she did to others. And it was then when she remembered scolding Bruno for how he behaved in front of his sister. And Bruno had gone to bed angry after promising to hold his tongue in the presence of his nieces, and she had spoken to him like he was a child, and ever since then he had become distant. I scolded him, said Carina, and I told him to be nice to his sister in front of his nieces, and he promised to behave before going to bed angry. And I thought we had punched things through, but apparently he's still angry. You messed up big time, Carina, said Ariel, laughing. And what you did is as pointless as telling my parents to not shout at each other in front of my sister, said Maddie. Yelling is just how some people communicate, yelled Ariel. Bruno wasn't yelling per se, but he was talking down to his sister, and that is very disrespectful, said Carina. You need to remember that Rebecca wasn't there for Bruno's first 12 years of his life, and for Bruno, Rebecca is just a stranger that happens to be related to him by blood, said Kane. Is that what he said to you, Kane? Asked Carina. And does Bruno bend to you often? Not often, but sometimes, said Kane. And plus, Rebecca's idea of being for Bruno is to criticize every aspect of his life, from his ways to his standing career, to his apartment and his dopey girlfriend, especially his dopey girlfriend. Dopey, repeated Carina, offended by the insult. That is what Rebecca calls you when you're not around, said Kane. Or so Bruno claims. I think I get it now. Bruno tells you everything that he's not brave enough to say to my face, knowing full well that you're just going to echo to me everything he tells you, said Carina thoughtfully. You're not the easiest person to speak to, said Maddie. It doesn't surprise me that he's using such a circuitous method to get through to you. Carina sighed with frustration, and she had another slice of pizza to build her courage. And once she had starved herself enough, she felt that she had abused Kane's hospitality enough. She couldn't continue to avoid Bruno forever. Bye-bye and God bless.